Cloud Colo ඔබගේ මඟ පෙන්වන්නේ මුළු cloud ලෝකේ නව පහන් එකතු කරන්නේ
Cloud Colo. So I think we gonna talk about an interesting topic today, right?
Yes, the biggest and the most important thing when it comes to cloud.
And this based on this topic, your job will be reliable.
Yeah.
You're going to be surviving or not going to be surviving. Today we're going to talk about the cloud cost optimization, which is a very crucial topic to learn and know about when you're working on cloud space.
Yeah.
So no, like I think with experience and stuff like you have about this billing, cloud billing and cost management, can you tell us some pros about this?
Yeah. So the main thing when it comes to cloud cost optimization is actually cost savings.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing that everyone is concerned about and everyone should focus about because everything costs money when it comes to cloud. So you need to identify like where you can cut costs and where you are spending, right? And you should identify how to optimize the resources that you have. Maybe like cutting down on sizes on VMs or like increasing when it comes to that.
Yeah, I think we will explain about those stuff in our examples. But other things I think they improve financial planning and which is really accurate
Budgeting, yes.
budgeting to forecast the future cloud cost and the budget efficiency and also like the business decision making, right?
Yeah.
So basically, your manager will need to know how much you're gonna spend on a cloud.
Yeah, your CEO will need to know how much you're gonna spend when it comes to the moving and like new resource spinning up, right?
Yeah.
So that's a different level of pressure when it comes to cost.
And also there's a really a big job market for this cloud optimization.
Yeah.
So cloud.
There's a new area when it comes to cloud like called FinOps, so the financial planning and the cost optimization and stuff like that.
Yeah, and let's talk about those ones in detail while we go into the discussion on the main part. But let's talk about the cons of knowing cloud billing and cost management.
Yeah, okay.
And I know this is really hard for some people because this industry, the cloud industry, is very large and is depending on what business you are in.
Yeah.
The cost can be various and there's a continuous learning you need to do and most of like new strategies there to be adopted, and this is time consuming, so it would consume a lot of your time to understand how much is going to be.
There are like in large organizations where there are like a lot of small business units and stuff, so when it comes to large environments, right? So the billing needs to be in a great detail level.
Yes.
So that's gonna be time consuming. If you are using correct tools and methods, that can be like reduced, but still it's a challenging area.
An ongoing challenge, right?
Exactly.
And also like another thing is like what Nuwan said, like you need to have some certifications and training need to be done based on this because the cost optimization is not something that you could learn from one day.
Yeah.
It needs some experience and pre-planning and
you need to have an idea about the services and the cost setup, right? And also there's an issue called over optimization, right?
Yeah.
Let's say like, okay, if you understand, okay, this service is using this much of resources, but if you limit the resource utilization into that area, if some sudden requests coming in and if you are required to expand, you can't do that. So don't over optimize, just do it correctly.
Yeah, that's true. So let's understand what is the cloud billing models are. I think in the market there are three kind of billings, right? Like the pay-as-you-go, reserved instance and spot instance.
Yeah.
Can you explain a bit about this? What is pay-as-you-go?
Yeah. So basically pay as you go, it means pay as you go, right? So basically whatever you use, you pay for.
Yeah.
So that's the basic understanding, right? So there's no commitment or no chat with the cloud provider or anything like that. You just maybe put your credit card in, just spin up the VM or spin up the service that you want and use it. So and if you want to, you can just pick it up and move to a different owner, different cloud provider, right?
Yeah.
So you can do anything that you want. So there's no commitment basically in that.
That's right. Sometimes it can get expensive if you're not being careful.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like the research instances, like for example, it's a commitment.
Yeah.
So I think there's like a short-term commitment and long-term commitment. When I say short-term for AWS, like a 1 year,
Yeah.
and long-term is a 3-year plan. So you could talk to your managers and understand whether what commitment you do, whether your project is a short-term project or a long-term project. By understanding this, you could save potentially a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of discounts when it comes to reserved instances. So you need to have an idea about if it's a short-term project or a long-term project, or is this gonna be a fixed size, or if it's gonna grow, or if it's gonna change. So there's like a lot of stuff you need to consider when it comes to reserved instances, because you are going to a commitment with the cloud provider.
Yeah.
So it's hard. There's like penalties and stuff when it comes to breaking the commitments and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and there might be like little bit of wiggle room. Like in Azure, let's say, there's like reserved instance options where you can actually change the VM types and stuff. But that's going into too much detail. We don't want that at the moment. Yeah. So then spot instances. So basically spot instances are like there are service like the host, right? So let's say a host has like 20 vCPUs, right?
Yeah.
But it's only utilizing around let's say 18 vCPUs, and there's like 2 vCPUs left and some RAM. So basically what these cloud providers are doing is they are giving you that small instance. It can be like the explanation that I got, like 2 vCPUs, right? So basically they give you that 2 vCPUs in a very cost-effective price,
yeah.
basically. So you use that one, but let's say the person who's like using that whole host wants that to expand or additional space, right? Then your spot instance VM will be shut down, and then that person who's like using the 18 vCPUs will expand to 20 basically. Yeah. So that's spot instances.
So basically, in a few words, like the instance being reclaimed if the demand instances are being increased.
Yes.
And like let's talk about like what is the cost optimization opportunities are. Like let's say the first thing I always think is it the right thing to do. So when you're selecting an instance, for example, we need to make sure the instance match your workload.
Yeah.
Or you might be underutilization or overutilization.
Yes.
So sometimes some providers, like for example, you say you got a WordPress site, and you got this only traffic once a day in like a whole year. So if you're using a T2 instance, and if for example, if you go for a bigger instance but you don't have much traffic, you might be overpaying the cloud provider.
Yeah.
So I think what's the best thing you could do is you first set up your instance as a pay-as-you-go, understand what's your workload are, your network throughput and output, and then the memory utilization, CPU utilization, and the request counts, those things. Then based on that, you set up a one instance type, and then you go for reserve, where you could potentially save up a lot of money. And the other thing, one like for example from AWS side, is also optimizing storage. Like I know there's something called S3 service in AWS, which you could save up your like files and other things that you need. In S3 too, there are several kind of tiers. If you like frequently access, you could use standard IA, and if you don't use much your documents or files quite often, you could move it to Glacier, which is much cheaper than what is the standard AI because you frequent access. And also you could implement lifecycle policies, where the files are get deleted after a certain time of period. So those kind of, is this something in Azure that
so basically Azure, there's like cold storage and hot storage, and it's basically the same. So if you have like infrequently accessed store data, you can store in cold storage, and if you have like high frequently accessed data, you'll basically use the hot storage. So basically the difference between these two are the hot storages use actually SSDs and high performing storages basically, right? So then that cost is high basically. So when it comes to cold storage, they are using HDD and like low cost storages, so that it's gonna be a low cost one. And let's say if you are storing your data in a cold storage, it has a limited IO, so you can't use it to like run database or anything like with a high IO requirement. So that's not gonna match. So if you are having a requirement like that, you need to go with a hot storage. So it's the same in AWS as well.
Cool. Okay, thanks for that explanation. Now let's move to the cost management strategies. I think like most of the cloud providers help you to set up like alerts and like notifications and budgets and stuff to make sure you're not exceeding what you budget for.
Yes.
So you make sure you follow the documentation. I think this is something you need to do initially, set up your budget and it will go on. Sometimes the budget you might have to increase depending on the project you're doing, but keep in touch. The budgeting is the first thing, setting up the limit is the second thing.
It's very important and you need to keep an eye on the budget as well. So yeah.
And the next thing, you need to tag your resources. This is a thing all the cloud providers advise. Like it's not a common rule. You can do it or you can't do it. You won't do it. Tagging helps you to understand what type of, like for example, let's say if for instance you could say it's a production instance, a dev instance, and a QA instance. So you could, when you do billing, you could be searching by what tags they've been used, which will help you to understand this cost.
Yeah, we talked about like organizations where there's like ton of teams. So there might be tags per team, per running workload. So that, yeah, so when you look at the cost, you see, okay, this team has utilized these resources and this is costing this much. And if you want to expand, yeah, of course you can do that, but you get the full idea, right? That's why the tags are very, very useful.
Cool. Let's talk the last bit, and this is the end of our conversation going to be today, which is the cost management tools. I think each provider has their own tool,
built-in tools,
own built-in tool, which would be, for example, in AWS is something called Cost Explorer, and Azure just
cost management. And if you go in cloud for Google, the Google Cloud Billing Report are like these kind of powerful tools out there. In addition to that, there are third-party tools you could be implementing with your infrastructure. There's ton of FinOps tools that you can use. So it depends on the workload that you have, right? So if you are a huge company which is using a ton of services, multiple subscriptions, multiple tenants and stuff like that, so if you need to keep an eye on the billing exactly, better to go with a good tool which supports like multiple clouds, multiple tenants and multiple subscriptions. So yeah, spend some money to save some money.
Yeah, that's right. And also you can talk to these third-party tools. They will do a free, give you
POCs,
demos and stuff. You could use their queries and try and do some testing around it. This is the conclusion. Like this is the end of our conversation today, and let's just go through the conclusion, what we learned and what we talk about. So by understanding cloud billing models, identifying the cost opportunities, implementing effective strategies, and leveraging the powerful tools, you can significantly reduce their costs.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, remember, cloud cost management is an ongoing process. Stay informed, continuously monitor your cost, and adapt your strategies as needed.
Do your budgeting.
And this comes to the end of our video today, and make sure you subscribe, like and share and comment. Give us your thoughts and make sure you give us some good feedback or bad feedback or reviews on your comment section. We always love to read them. And thank you for joining us. It's Cloud Colo. We will bring another entertaining episode next time. Stay tuned.
Cloud Colo, opage magapin banne. Mulu cloud loke, nava pahanne katu karanne.